we see you not playing, but they just spoke to me as it doesn't really matter who's right. It's just it's how you turn up. Like we can see you're already on this like negative mindset. Like all you can control is turn up, give your best. Whatever happens. And like that was obviously it continued. I still played at B's, but I was of a better mindset. I was like I gave my all. I just tried to help the boys prepare for the weekend.
Welcome to the Lessons from the Game podcast, the podcast where we break down the hard-hitting lessons from rugby and show how they apply performance, mindset and resilience, both on and off the field.
I'm Ben Pegner, and alongside Guthrie Steenkamp, we sit down with top players, coaches and experts to uncover what it really takes to succeed.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode on the Lessons from the Game podcast. Today I'm joined with my co-host Ben Pegner, and we have an unbelievable guest for you. He is a legend of the game. He has won the World Cup in 2015 with the All Blacks, to dominating with the French top 14 champions Toulouse, and even winning a few trophies. This man has played over 50 test matches for the All Blacks and has had a career that is nothing short of inspiring. But what makes him even more special is not just his incredible achievements on the field, but the journey he has taken from playing for the All Blacks to representing Samoa, and his time in France, where he became a leader at one of the most prestigious clubs in the world. Today, we are talking about the highs and lows of his rugby journey, from the intense culture of the All Blacks to the move to Toulouse, the mental resilience that is required for a successful career. He is none other than Charlie Faumuina. Charlie, brother, how's it going? Good to see you, my man.
Thanks for having me. And it's a great intro. But appreciate your guys' time for you having me on board.
It's great to have you, man. It's great to have you. Looking forward to chatting with you. Ben, brother, how are you doing? You handsome man.
I'm good, bro. Yeah, what about you, man? How's it going down there?
Oh, great, man. Won't elaborate too much what's going on. Being a rugby coach, it's mentally draining. So definitely looking forward to the weekend, getting stuck into things. But most importantly, I'm looking forward to this chat today, man, with this legend of the game.
Me too, yeah.
Even though he has caused me loads and loads of pain in the past, but that's another story. Okay.
Love to hear all about that, man, in due course.
Calm yourself, Ben. Please take it easy. All right. Charlie, brother, man, it's good to have you. It's great to connect again with you. And, you've retired now. You're back in NZ, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, back in NZ with the family. Been here just over a year. So, yeah, the kids definitely enjoy being back. We missed the European summers, but now we love being back around family and friends. So.
Awesome stuff. Charlie, we love kicking off our podcast with the same question. And we love to ask our guests, what is the one lesson that you have learned from the game of rugby that you can share with rugby players and coaches that want to level up or have great careers going forward?
I think there's probably heaps out there, but I think one thing that I always aspired to do was just be a team man. Like everything, obviously everyone wants to play, but I always just had the mindset that it was always team first. So wherever I was in regards to the team selections, you just embrace that role and just try to help the boys they can for the game, obviously, yeah.
Awesome stuff. Awesome, Charlie. So many highlights that we want to get stuck into. But I think if you can tell us, how did that opportunity come, getting that AB journey? Like all of us have a unique story. I was hitting 50-meter gaps in the Currie Cup back in the day when I was playing for the Cheetahs, thinking I was a back row player. But now, how did that opportunity come? And how did you get that privilege to play for the ABs?
Yeah, I think I started playing Super Rugby 2009. Obviously 2011 was the last World Cup, and that's when players tend to leave overseas. So John R4 left. I think Tialata left as well, and obviously the opportunity come about. But I think just the way I played, in regards to the way I play, I was probably a little bit different to some of the boys that, like obviously the Owen Frags, Johnny R4. I was probably a little bit more open player, and I think where the game was looking to go, I think that kind of suited my style of play. So, yeah, I got an opportunity 2012. we were just about to go into June test. I tore my calf, but what was pretty cool, the ABs still wanted me to come down to their camp throughout the whole series. So I was there, obviously had physio and doctors with them. But yeah, and then once they come to the championship, we got to play South Africa, Argentina. I got the opportunity to play. So yeah, I think when you look back over your career, you see all the sacrifices that you made to be able to cross that line to play that first test against Argentina. It just made it worth it. So.
Great, man. Great. Each story is unique, and it's always great to go down the memory lane. But now saying that, you played for the All Blacks, and you end up playing for Samoa in the World Cup last year. How does that work? I imagine it's massive playing, but making that switch at the end of your career, playing for Samoa. Can you give us the backstory? How did that come into play?
Yeah, obviously when they made that rule change, well, obviously the rule before was that if you wanted to go play for a second tier nation, you had to play 7. So obviously that was out of the question for me. But then they tweaked the rule again to say once you've stepped away from rugby for more than 3 years, international rugby for more than 3 years, that there was an opportunity for you to go and represent a second tier nation or any nation really. So that was the opportunity for me to come to Samoa. I let my agent know to call Mapusua, which was the coach of Samoa, that I was interested in coming down. And I was more of the mindset, I've probably passed the best. So obviously the ABs would have had the best, Charlie Faumuina. And I just was of the mindset that, yes, I would love to go compete. I'm probably not the best prop there, but if you were to have a young prop, it's probably better to have an experienced guy that's been there, done that, to help those boys that are going to start, to prepare them as well as we can. So I think that aligned with our coach, Mapusua, and then, yeah, got the call up and managed to play a few games.
And tell me, do you have any ties to Samoa? I know you were born in New Zealand. Do you have any family in Samoa? Was that maybe a strong motivating factor as well, that you wanted to wear that jersey?
Yeah. My mum and dad. I'm from Samoa. Been to Samoa many times. My grandma, a lot of my family is still in Samoa, so I said there's plenty of times when I announced that I was going to play for Samoa. I think my family were more excited and happy that I was playing for Samoa than I was the ABs. And I look back, like it was just a connection back to the country for me personally, but for my grandpa, my grandma, that's all they knew. That's all they saw. They saw the 91 team, 95, all those great Samoan teams. And for me to be able to play for that, to play for Samoa, was awesome.
It's brilliant, Ben. That's brilliant. I can just imagine they must have been proud for you, man. And I can tell you this, I've had the luxury of playing some great Samoan players, Joe Tukori, Census Johnson, and you played with Joe at Toulouse as well. So, that must have been an unbelievable experience.
No, the rugby was tough. Like, compared to the AB's program, it's just it's night and day in regards to rugby and what they have behind. But just emotionally, how much it meant to play for Samoa. They just play with passion and see why they get up so much to make all those big hits. That they're doing it for their country. It really is. The rugby team really is their team. Like the country really gets behind the boys. So
just before I hand it over to Ben, I know he's eager to jump into the conversation. I remember 2007 World Cup watching Henry Tuolagi. There was this line out on the 50 meter, and he started his run up on the 22, and there was Skalkberg and Donny Rousseau, and he just ran straight through them. I remember speaking to Skalky after the game. He said that was probably one of the toughest hits he's ever taken in his life. And we've seen the Samoans have been known for their physicality. Obviously, your guys' DNA is unbelievable. But is there a specific driving force, in the Samoan culture when they step onto that field? We know all rugby players are proud. We go to war. But I've always found that there's this sense of, what's the secret?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we just embrace that part of our game, which is the physicality side. We're very comfortable putting our bodies on the line. Yeah, and I think probably from a young age, you're always trying to prove yourself with your older brothers and you're playing in the backfields. So you gotta put on those big hits, and you probably learn it from a young age.
It's really cool. I was at that game, G. I was watching.
Were you?
Yeah. I was watching that
really?
game. Yeah,
Boy, they're bigger then.
bro. Next question. No, I was because I'd played with Dan Leo. He was a really good teammate at Wasps and a great guy, and he was playing for Samoa that day. And so I just remember sitting there. It was an incredible game, wasn't it? And then it's funny actually. You guys chatting just now brings back memories, because then I visited Apia. I visited Samoa in 2011. Yeah. So that was an incredible experience as well, but loved it. Charlie, can you see anybody else from the All Blacks, maybe current All Blacks, making that same following the same path you followed and going back and playing for the Pacific Islanders? Or for
I think so. I definitely think it's, obviously with the rule, they're trying to embrace, well, obviously a lot of guys, they're going to head overseas after their rugby careers. I think a lot of guys will probably go a lot more earlier now too, so that gives opportunity for these boys to go and play for their countries. But to anyone that is looking at doing it, it's an unreal experience. You'll never get an experience like that anywhere professional from the journey I've been on. Yeah.
And what was the dream when you were a kid? But was it playing for the ABs, or was it actually something else?
Well, when I was a young kid, I wanted to be a builder.
Did you?
And
Wow.
I never went to a flash rugby school.
Yeah.
Well, not a flash, I wouldn't say it's a flash rugby school, but a school that was known for rugby. And I just went to go play club rugby, because all my mates kind of played rugby, and I was just very, very lucky that a coach in the academy system come to watch one of the games. I was there, and this was probably 2 years out of school. And then invited me to come to academy, invited me to Scrum Academy, and within 6 months I was playing ITM.
Wow.
6, 7, 8 months, I think, and I was playing ITM rugby. So not a very similar journey compared to some of the other boys, but yeah, I just made the most of the opportunity, and I almost finished my building apprenticeship. I did 3.5 years, and then I had to go full-time rugby. But yeah, that's it. I think once I come into rugby, I did ITM a couple of years, and then the AB dream kind of come forefront of mine, and then it really became a reality, I guess.
Did you play a lot of league growing up?
Yeah, I played heaps of league. So obviously here, my school wasn't a very good rugby school, so I tend to play league for a club. Yeah, I played league for about 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
And I only come back to rugby because our first 15 that following year, they said they were going to go to South Africa. So I said, I can't play first 15 now.
Biltong, you wanted that biltong, man.
But we ended up not going to South Africa, but we went to Rarotonga, so the Cook Islands. But
Nice.
just like a kid from me, South Auckland, just to be able to go jump on a plane, didn't really matter where we went. Just to go away with a team was an awesome experience.
That's awesome. That's so good. Go on, G. What were you going to say, mate? I cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. You're talking that you wanted to become a builder. I grew up with my dad. He was in the building industry as well. So in the school holidays, I had to mix that cement manually, not using a machine. I had to pack away cement bags. So I actually quite enjoyed. My granddad was a bricklayer as well. Is that something that you are pursuing now that you've retired, that you looking to get back into?
Yeah, not so much on the tools per se, but definitely around the industry. I'd love to get into property development, which is something I'm really passionate about. Yeah, just building houses and then just trying to rent them all out. So that's where I'm at. It's pretty slow here in New Zealand at the moment, so it's been put on hold for a little bit. But I think long term, that's where I'll.
Because I heard a little bird flew in earlier in my flat here in my apartment, because I left the window open, and you told me you've created a little property empire during your playing career.
I think, obviously, I try to be smart with my money, and from the get-go, I got inspired about property, and that's kind of where I put all my money. So it's been good so far, and it's allowed us to just take our time into transitioning back into the real world. And obviously, we've been back for, like I was saying, a little over a year, and me and the wife are still just trying to figure it out, and just take our time, really.
Okay. That's brilliant. Brilliant. I think definitely you can give a few pointers to some of our current players. But now I want to deep dive into some stuff because the words of a rugby legend, and these were his words, and afterwards I'll say who it was. If there were two nations that were born to play each other, it's the All Blacks and South Africa. And I received this message from Sean Fitzpatrick in 2002 during the Under-21 World Cup in South Africa. And, the rivalry has been unbelievable over these years. I know what we used to experience as Springbok rugby players, how important it was for our country, the Springboks, the sport, the game. But I would like to know, I know the pressures and experience we face in South Africa, but what does it mean to be an All Black, and what is the responsibility and the added pressure that comes along with it?
I think in my time, like there's so much pressure from our fans, and it's not so pressure, but expectation to win.
Yeah.
And you definitely feel it. But it wasn't so much. We never thought about the win. We were just always about the process, and just we had to do our jobs. The more we did our jobs, and everyone did their own jobs, it kind of made the job very. Come game time, it made our job a lot more easier. But yeah, there's always that expectation that we win, and I think in my time we were a very successful team. It just became New Zealand community or fan base just. There was no other option but to win.
Yeah.
So, but to be fair, I was coming through and I played with some of the greatest rugby players ever. So, it made for a guy like me, his job a lot more easier. Just their calmness, their experience in those big games. Yeah.
And are there some of those experienced players that guided you that had a massive impact? Because, you played with some unbelievable guys. You played with Jerome, Kevin Milamu, you played with Owen and Dan Carter. Is there anyone in particular that really impacted you and helped you on your journey?
Yeah, it'll probably be Kevin Milamu. Obviously being at the Blues, he was there from day one. Jerome Kanu as well. Ma'anonu. I spent a lot of time in the All Blacks campaign in and around Ma'anonu and the boys. That was our little crew. We'd play cards a lot together. But just yesterday, Ma'anonu, he's still bloody playing.
Too long, can you believe it? There's still hope for me. I can make a comeback.
Yeah. So, and you don't get to that age and to still be able to play off talent. He come across like a real bad boy, but he was like a real professional. Like he'll be up stretching, doing his stuff before you even get down to breakfast, and you can see why he's lasted so long. Like it's not by chance or anything. It's just his habits, daily habits, has just got him to where he was. So.
It's incredible. You timed it pretty well, Charlie, didn't you, with your career with the All Blacks? When I was thinking about it, you got, they'd been under so much pressure before, and then you were playing with McCaw and Reid and all those guys, Carter, and then you played against the Lions as well. Well, you timed it pretty nicely, and then you headed overseas. What was it like playing in the Lions? How did that compare to, say, playing in the World Cup for you?
Oh, I think the World Cup would have been the pinnacle. I think coming in second as playing British Irish Lions, it was it's pretty surreal. Like that fan base and how much they follow the boys around. I think like when obviously they're all over the city. Like everywhere we go, it's just red. Like you don't really see much black, and they all walk into games together, all at the bars together, and it's just I think at Eden Park it was definitely more red jerseys than black ones, but in the game itself, it was pretty. I think it was a pretty dominant game. First game, Sonny Bill Williams had the red card and put them back in. But the way it finished, I think there should always be a winner. Like to wait 12 years.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it?
It seems weird to finish on a draw.
Mm.
So yeah, how it ended. Obviously, that was my last game for the All Blacks. Last game on Eden Park. It kind of just. Took all the air out the room. It just become a little bit flat, but yeah, definitely, it was an awesome experience. Awesome team that came down, but yeah, just gutted we couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, 100%. And had the plan always been to go overseas then? Had you always wanted to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I think from an early age, and I'm for very same with you, G, is once you come out of school, you're there like with rugby all the way through. There's not really an opportunity. Maybe it's different for South African dudes because you guys are just straight up to Europe. But for us to get to Europe, and we only ever really get 2 weeks off between campaigns, it's never ideal to go all the way there for 2 weeks. So Europe's never really in our minds for an holiday. But obviously with rugby towards the end, I really wanted to get there. Obviously that's where a lot of the props tend to go to, but just to get to experience Europe was probably one of the bigger reasons why.
Yeah, 100%. G's got to put his fingers in his ears, but I've got to ask a bit about Toulouse for all the so sorry.
I knew he was going to bring it.
So that must have been an incredible experience for you, though. I mean, just an incredible environment, incredible club, amazing place, but the success you had as well there.
Yeah, it was. It's very, I think the first year was a bit of a shock to me. Like, they do things very different to how we would do it back in NZ, but it works. It works for them. Like, how much they always together outside of rugby. They don't mind having a beer throughout the week, but when it comes to playing, I think they just found their DNA again. When I signed, Toulouse were because I signed like a year, maybe 14 months before I come over. The season when I signed, they were doing pretty good. 6 months into the competition, they were like second on the table. Just before I come, they were, I think, finished 12th, and I was like, holy heck. Because I was either Toulouse or Clermont, and Clermont ended up winning it. So I was like, oh, here we go. But by the time I got there, Antoine Dupont come, Ches and Kobe come that same year. Yeah, and a whole bunch of those boys come through the academy system. They slowly found their DNA. They slowly found that French flair again, and now they're just top of the world.
Charlie, I followed you throughout, and firstly, you were explosive, you were dynamic, for your size and your weight. You got across the world. I mean, you would run across the rugby field like an angry bird, which was being pulled back by an elastic, and you were just flying out and just destroyed everything in your path. But I did notice, and tell me if I'm wrong, your scrumming technique slightly changed when you came to France. I used to find you were way more square when you were playing for the All Blacks, and I noticed in the top 14 you started to discover these angles. No, I'm just joking. And what was the massive difference in the game? Was there a massive shock in terms of the pace, the intensity in top 14 compared to what you experienced in Super Rugby back in the day?
Yeah, it's probably two things will probably be the scrumming. The scrumming, you have to scrum like the French do. You can't do what all my life I got taught was to
scrum. I'll do the French scrum, if you can elaborate on that.
Oh, man, they scrum up, down, sideways, wherever they can go forward. That's the way they scrum it. But you just have to follow, because that's what your team's doing, and you just got to embrace that role. And probably the second thing would probably just be the shock, which was probably a good shock, was just how much support you have for teams here in those French games. Like, would go, like, obviously Toulouse were doing so well, we'll have a full stadium week in, week out. But even some of the away games, or if we took it to a football stadium, had a 40,000 stadium, and they would pack it out. And it's just playing against that or with that is just was crazy. It was just awesome to see how much rugby means to that part of the world, and awesome to be a part of it.
Favorite restaurant in Toulouse?
Favorite? A Compagnie Française.
Oh, okay, all right. Portions a bit tiny though, no?
Yeah, but quality was just always my love for burrata cheese now is crazy because of that place.
Sorry, Ben, you wanted to jump in there, my man.
No, bro. Now you're making me. I was in Toulouse a couple of months ago. So Jerome took me to this place, was Sofian's place. What was it called, G? I think.
Mozzarella.
Yeah, I had the
Yeah.
pistachio pizza. Pistachio, I've got like it's my nuts and my nemesis, peanut butter and stuff. So as soon as I saw the pistachio pizza, I was just, I'm in. Hey, it was
Yeah,
good.
he's done really well. I think he's got his truck, and I think he's almost opened a second one. He timed it real well towards the end of his season, end of his career. So,
Hey, Charlie. So I'm not my scrumming knowledge you can write on the back of a stamp, you know. But we have a lot of aspiring players listening to us on this pod. Can you give me, say, 2 or 3 tips as if I'm an aspiring young, front rower, how can I level up? Maybe I'm 15, 16. What should I be focusing on? Is there some basics or fundamentals that I can maybe focus on to level up my game?
I probably think just trying to get I think just trying to get someone like a mentor, like how G has his things where he gives advice, because a lot of it, scrummaging, you can't see yourself. It's so many little tricks and adjustments that you got to make that as a person that doesn't know it, it's hard to see what you need to get better at. So having a mentor or someone that's been there, done that, that kind of just gives you like the very basics, the very like just the general knowledge of how you want to scrum. But if anything, man, it's just repetition. Like, they always say that us props don't really get to our best towards that 30, 28, 30 mark. And it's because there's so many lessons that you get taught. And normally it's when you get pumped in a scrum that okay, I can't do that one again. But it takes you a few times to get there. So, the lifespan of a tight head or any prop is pretty, you're getting towards the best of your career at that 30 years. So, if anything, it's just trying to get a mentor, and then repetitions. You just got to put yourself in those scrums and get taught those lessons, because that's how you learn.
It seems to be there's a unique thing amongst props, especially. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they seem to help each other even after they've played against each other. There seems to be like this camaraderie amongst you guys that actually. And I remember seeing that when I was quite young and thinking that's incredible. I don't think you'd get that in many other sports, would you? But you actually help your opponent afterwards, and you have a proper, and it's genuine, it's sincere. It seems to be unique.
I think that's definitely a fair thing to say. Like, I think the props in the team, like when I was at Toulouse, and like there's no other group that goes out for their own dinners. Like, we would always have a front row dinner. Like every second week would have there's just something, like, we enjoy each other's company. We're very simple people. Like, you get us a beer and a steak, we're happy. Like, nothing needs to be fancy. But yeah, we're always, and to be fair, a lot of my time at Toulouse was just trying to get the next generation boys ready. Like, a lot of the times, like, I'll probably be starting in the game, but I'll give my reps to those boys, because I was very comfortable that I knew my job, and I knew I know myself, I know what I'm doing. Then I'll give all the reps to my reserves and let them get their reps in, just so they can feel comfortable. Same as scrums, like I don't need many scrums, and the young boys love a scrum. Like, they'll go forever. Like, I'm like, oh, all right, you guys go.
You're a
fanboy and a piece of cake.
No, it's great attitude.
Because
Love it.
Yeah, and you're just critiquing. Once you get to that level, you're just little critiques. It's nothing really. You're trying to. It's not a big change you're trying to do. You're just trying to help them get a little bit more forward, bend the knees a little bit more, get lower and stuff like that.
Sure.
And that's But I was always just about one thing I always wanted to pass on was that a lot of people helped me in my journey, and I always wanted to pass that back on to the next generation. That
sure.
I didn't want them to be shy, or just because I was playing, I didn't want to protect or hold on to information or just experiences. Obviously, like how I was saying before, we're a team, and we need 23 to be good. It's not just the 15 And now when you look at teams, it's the team that's got the best depth is the team that goes the longest way.
That's good, man.
I definitely resonate there with you, Charlie. You're talking about giving back. That's one of the reasons I decided to become a Scrum coach. You're talking about having those mentors. I had one or two guys, but there are times that it gets lonely at that level. We know the stakes are high. You mess it up in the Scrum, you pay the price. Your name is all over the paper. Your dad tells you not to come back to the country and rather stay in hiding for 2 weeks and finding yourself again. But, and I've seen that firsthand from time to time. I do these online coaching calls, just educating players and coaches and just sharing those deeper insights into the scrummaging area and what they should be doing. And I just see their eyes light up, that there's no better feeling. But to the young prop now, he's starting out his career, whether it's professional or semi-professional. What should he be doing in a week? Like, you're different. You're experienced towards the end of your career. You've played it. You've won a World Cup. You knew what it took. You could just make it switch. Some guys can just make that switch. But let's say, for example, you're still someone learning and that you want to perform on the weekend in the Scrum. Is there any routines or any advice you can be sharing? What should you be doing in the week leading up to that game so that you can perform? Is it having a salad? Is it having a côte de boeuf, a burger? Is there anything in particular you can be sharing with the boys? What should they be doing in a week to prepare for that performance?
Well, just for the Scrum performance or the game performance?
Scrum performance.
I think just a lot of it. I think a lot of my time too was a lot of visual learning, just trying to have positive visuals of the game in those situations. Just like if I feel like he's here, what am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? What are we going to adjust? Obviously, the young boy wouldn't know that. I think just making sure you tick off your own individual setup, that kind of stuff. Like, you can only really worry about yourself, and that. And I think just one of the biggest things when I first started out was just being in front of a mirror and just doing like a set of 10, step away, and you're just doing your so what I'll do was I'd have a mirror to my right, and I'll do a setup, and I'll put a piece of tape on where I thought I should be in my heights and my setup. So my back, obviously my back is nice and straight, so I put a tape along there on the mirror, and I wouldn't look at the mirror, and I'll do my setup, and then I'll look across to the right to see if I was under the tape. But if you get to a point where you're always getting under the tape, that becomes muscle memory. Yeah. So when you're fatigued, it's easy to get down there, because I think a lot of boys, when they're coming through, once they get fatigued, they start getting higher and higher and higher, and that's when they get in trouble in Scrum. So a setup saves you a lot of time and a lot of energy for the game. So I think just for me was my setup. That was probably one of my biggest things, because once a big man like me, once I can get down, it's hard for them to put me back up again.
That's awesome.
There's a big difference, Ben, compared to backline players in front of a mirror. They're checking their hair and taking their shirt off, checking their six-packs.
Wasn't me, bro.
And for rugby players or doing setups, it just shows how invested
I love
we are
that.
in this.
That's awesome, though. The detail, I love that. People wouldn't have heard that type of thing before. Yeah, that's really insightful.
All right. So, Charlie, we've spoken enough about Toulouse, and I knew Ben was going to go there because he's a big fan of Toulouse, and spent loads of time there with the Espoir boys as well, learning and sharing his knowledge. But what I would like to dive a bit deeper into is, your time with the ABs. I was fortunate enough to be part of a World Cup winning team in 2007. But you guys going back to back from 2011 to 2015, give us a bit of insight in terms of, culture around the ABs. I know it's different. South Africa, we always have these sayings like you got to put the jersey first, got to leave the jersey in a better place. The jersey doesn't belong to you. What insights can you give us in terms of your guys' philosophies and preparing for that World Cup campaign in 2015?
I think we've had very similar values, like in regards to the jersey. But one thing I always liked about the ABs was our mindset. Like obviously with Gilbert Enoka, and he's become every sports team wants Enoka now. But I think when we first started, like obviously after 2011, whoever won a World Cup, you'd always see them struggle the next year. So 2011, that was our focus, that we don't want to drop off. And also we wanted to be one of the best rugby teams ever. And a lot of it come down to winning percentages, because that's all it kind of is taken from. And I think after 2012, we become the best rugby team ever. And then we came to the next year, they said, okay, we've done that, that's ticked, we want to be the best team ever. And you had to go against, I can't remember the teams now, but like their win rates. And we got that year. Then the next year, they were like, we want to be the best sports team ever, but we were going against like Tiger Woods, Kelly Slater, the tennis boys like Federer, but their winning percent was massive. It was in the 89, so we had to get our win rate up to 92, 93, 94%. And then once we got to there, it just kept going. The mindset wasn't, we were never comfortable. We just wanted to, what was the next thing we wanted to achieve? And then we got to a point where they were saying we wanted to be the best team ever in regards to our preparation. And they were comparing us to, okay, if we were a team compared to a team of surgeons, and if someone made a mistake in that team, in the surgeons team, someone could die. So in regards to our preparation, like, yes, we can make a mistake or not know our role, and it's not going to have a massive effect on it, but we want to be of that mindset that if we don't prepare as well as they do, that the effect could be the same. And we were just doing, like, it was just forever adapting and growing, like, and it never kept us comfortable. We were just always, there's a new target to get. And I love that about the ABs, but it's intense, man. It's being there. You love, like, I never take any, I don't regret anything of that journey, but by the time I left, I was happy that I was moving on somewhere else. So, but yeah, that what we achieved in that time, man, that was unreal. So happy to be a part of it, but I was also, my time in there was done, I think.
And I think, you know, when you're saying you're happy to move on, I don't think people realize the toll it takes on us being a professional rugby player, but not just being a professional rugby player, representing a nation like New Zealand or South Africa. It can be draining at times. You know, you belong to the public and you need to win those games. If you don't perform well, I remember sometimes I couldn't even go to a restaurant with my folks and I was just being lashed out at, you know, you guys are useless. Look, you're sitting in a restaurant. That's why you guys are so bad. But did you have any specific methods that you used to manage that stress, or I won't say stress, but that pressure you were going through? Were you just focused on your training? Was there anything in particular that you did that helped you? Really? Like, for me, the day off was very important. I would go watch a movie, have a popcorn, a slush puppy, have a good feed. That would just allow me to decompress and forget about everything. Was there anything in particular that you did back in your playing days that helped you with that?
No, I don't think it was anything that I had to do. I mean, to get away, I think that's always there, the pressure, especially playing for the Blues. There were some tough days there, but I like just hanging out with the family was always gives you perspective that yes, rugby, we love rugby. Rugby is a big part of our country and our lives, but it's just a game in regards to what really matters, and it was family. That was probably always my kind of my outlet was just some time away with the family. So I don't think many people had the courage to come at me and to say, oh, this is what I needed to do.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It reminds me, actually, you know, when I don't know, you haven't been to the Pacific Islands yet, have you, G?
No, I haven't been. Would love to go there. I heard some great stories.
You'll love it. You know, when I went to play in South Africa, and then having been to Samoa as well, the people are very, you know, there's a similarity, and it's around family, faith, and food mostly, you know. And so I think you sort of alluded to it a bit there, Charlie, you know, when you had that perspective, you know, and you see it with a lot of the Pacific Island players. They then go and play in Europe because they want to take care of their family, and there's sort of other priorities, perhaps. Is that what sort of made you want to go overseas as well as explore and have an adventure?
Yeah, definitely, man. There's no hiding away. It was more financially better to go to France. Yeah, was that obviously I was in the building trying to build a property portfolio, and being overseas did help continue to grow that. But yeah, obviously, and also like from people I hear, and it come to be true, was just the family time in France. Like I think if you're in the ABs and you play in the Super Rugby, obviously back then the Super Rugby we were going to South Africa, we were away for like 3 months of the year. Like even if we played the Hurricanes down at Wellington, we would fly there Friday lunchtime, come back Sunday evening. You're always away, and yeah, I think it's just over time, and like we had a young family coming. We had 3 under 5 at the time, towards the end of my career, so it was just time to go and move to France.
So Charlie, you've been to some pretty interesting places. You've toured around the world, played with the All Blacks, and then lived in France. And I've had this conversation before with G. So if you can sit down any meal anywhere with 3 interesting people, who are you picking around the table with you? And what's the food? What's the meal? Because you two, you haven't dodged a meal recently, you two, have you? Let's be honest.
Hey, you all what you eat. You all what you eat.
I'd only say that because Charlie's in New Zealand, you're in France, and I'm in England, so I'm safe, you know.
That'd be pretty. I'll probably take a steak from Argentina.
Oh, some chimichurri.
And who's around the table with you? Three other people that you've crossed paths with, or that you'd love to cross paths with. Who's around the table with you?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a tough one. Nice, Ben. Just
what about you? What about you, G? Who's around the table with you?
You can ask me that. You can ask me that. Nah, that's I think for myself, if I have to have a meal, definitely have Madiba there, Nelson Mandela.
I thought you were going to have Madiba,
yeah, definitely Nelson Mandela. My grandfather, he was a big influence in my life. And now I'm only allowed 3. My dad will definitely, I'm still fortunate to spend some time with my dad. But yeah, I think, it might be stereotype, but I think it's someone like Michael Jordan,
he was on my list.
Pick his brain. Yeah, because he was so competitive and he was so intense and he was tough on his teammates. And I saw the series on Netflix and the Bulls, so definitely. But in terms of to be more specific, what I would have there was a start off with some foie gras, and have some jambon pate negra, some Spanish ham, and then 1.2 kg côte de boeuf with some bone marrow on the side, and some half-cooked duck on the side, and then I would finish up with some dessert, which we call in France a carré de porc. So that would be a nice piece of pork for dessert, and then I'll have a coffee.
Boom. Not like you thought about that before on a long bus journey.
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, man.
A classic.
I'm going to let you off the hook while you're thinking, Charlie, while you're thinking about those 3, because I'm going to let you off the hook for a little bit. Listen here. Your dream front row. Obviously, you're in it. Your dream front row that will be destroying people. That will be leaving traces of, don't want to go in too much detail, but underwear that has been stained because they've been ravaged in the scrum. So who would you have beside you?
Nah, I'll probably have, I wouldn't be in it. I'd love to see this team, this front row go together, but I'll probably have that tight-haired Kyle Heyman. I'll probably have that loose-haired, that Ox, how do you say his last name? Nietzsche? Oh, fuck, he's a powerful man, that man. Man, hooker, probably have...
You don't want to upset Kevy, do you?
I know you want to say Malcolm Marx, man. I know you want to say he could be South African.
I'll probably have to go Kevin Malami, mate. He's just up the road from me, so he's coming down.
He lives about 2 doors down or something. So Awesome.
Oh, man.
Actually, when I asked that question earlier, I was thinking about The Last Dance, because when you were talking about the All Blacks and your sort of mentality, I was thinking of Michael Jordan and the Bulls and The Last Dance, because it sounded very similar. It made me think of them. I mean, you must have loved working with Wayne Smith, given your footwork and your he must have loved working with you as well.
Yeah, Oh man, I love being in there because they have that saying you don't want to be the smartest in the room, and like I was never the smartest in any of those rooms. Like, and I always pride myself on someone that understands the game. I know what I'm doing, but man, those guys their knowledge of this rugby game is just crazy. Like, and how much if there was an adaptation in the rules or whatever it was, they can come up with a solution real fast. And they love to debate, and they make it open to have those conversations. It's not just them; they want to hear opinions of what the players want to. So it's player driven as well. And like the players that we had were just as knowledgeable of the game as well.
Yeah, when you were talking earlier about how when you were with the All Blacks, you kept on sort of pushing those goals, and they became almost, I suppose, they were stretch targets, and they were was that from the players? Did the players drive that, or was that a combination?
Yeah, I think it was a combination. Gilbert Enoka was the one that drove it, but I think there was a group of them. Obviously, there's lots of group meetings, and they discuss and then they present that to the team. So when it gets to the team, it's that's all.
In that 2015 World Cup year, when you see that spine of experienced players and people with 100 caps and things like that, how much of, I think it's intriguing for the coaches listening, how much is player-led and how much is sort of the coaches facilitate the environment, but the players then drive it and lead it and become the decision makers? Where's the blend for you? Or was it obvious for you, or was it just natural?
In regards to the players?
Yeah, in that environment, if when you were successful, you guys, from the outside, it just seemed to be this perfect sort of chemistry.
Yeah, and it was that. It was like that throughout the week. It was we'll obviously meet defensively, but the boys would present. And then I think it just makes it more. The boys embrace the role more when it's them that tell us this is what we need to do. So come Saturday, if they don't front, it's on them. So obviously, they need to perform to continue to speak to the boys and have that respect from the boys. So I think right across the park, attack, defense, set piece, whatever it was, and most of the time they would have the guy that was they had the most respect. You'd have like Daniel Carter doing our attack, Bowden Barrett doing our attack. You have Jerome Kino doing defense, Cody Taylor doing defense, and it's just easy to, I just follow you. I'll follow him this week.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah,
Did you lads cross paths on the field, G? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I played a few games. I think I played the year that the Blues beat you guys one game, and you guys went undefeated the rest of I think it might have been 2011 or 10.
Yeah, we could have crossed there because I finished up in end of 2011 before I went to Toulouse. Yeah. So we can definitely.
I think that year Blues were the only team to beat them. And that's when Pat Lam brought this because they were just killing teams with the up and under, and then getting the drive, and then just getting penalties. And Pat Lam came up with this new ways that when they kick it out, we throw it in. Didn't matter if they were 2 meters away, we were throwing it in. We didn't want the maul or the lineouts because Victor Matfield was just getting up and cleaning up. So, I think that shocked the Bulls, but they just ended up going back and won it again. I think that was your third in the row after that. Was it?
Yeah, no, but in 2011 we didn't win it. We won in 2010. That was the one where we did the back-to-back, yeah. But guys, I'm finally comfortable again, and you saw me bounce off the camera. My chair finally gave in, so I was like holding on to the table while I was speaking to you guys. I had to change.
Bro, I was being so professional, bro. I was just rolling with it.
You were
nobody
so good,
knows. I wasn't going to embarrass you, man. Yep. You didn't have to bring it up, bro.
Yep. Charlie, we spoke about a lot of great things, and we all know life is not perfect. Things that we can speak about all the highs, but I imagine that there's also been some lows. Is there anything any tough times that you experienced during your career? Maybe it's rugby related, maybe it's something outside of some moments of adversity that you can share with our audience?
Probably one, it was probably a couple, but one, obviously I played ITM, I played Super Rugby, went back to ITM. Went back to Super Rugby, and I came back to ITM, and I didn't get along with the new coach, but I've been playing Super Rugby for 2 years. I thought I'd be okay coming back to ITM. He had a different way he wanted to play, and he didn't see me fit in. And then I kind of got on this downer buzz. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He should have me in his team. So I was playing. I was playing for the B team, Auckland B team, all year long. Yeah, it was tough times because at that time, after the second Super Rugby season, I was on the All Black radar, and Mike Cron and him caught up towards the end of the season. Yeah, just after halfway of the ITM season, they caught up with me and they were like, "How you doing? We see you not playing." And I was just being a typical young fella. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm right. But they just spoke to me as, it doesn't really matter who's right. It's just it's how you turn up. Like, we can see you're already on this like negative mindset. Like, all you can control is turn up, give your best, and whatever happens. And like, that was obviously, it continued. I still played at B's, but I was of a better mindset. I was like, I gave my all. I just tried to help the boys prepare for the weekend. But it was a real tough time and like just on the journey. Then obviously Pat Lamb was the coach of Super Rugby. He was still keen to take me, but he needed to see me play. He goes, I just need to see you play one good game and I'll take you. Because obviously he understood the situation as well. But yeah, obviously it continued. I didn't play a single game until the last week, and had an opportunity to played an awesome game, and then obviously got a contract with the Super Rugby again, and that was like real late, but it was just I was just grateful to have like coaches that still believed in me. It just kind of put me on the straight and narrow in regards to how I turn up and prepare. Selection isn't really, that's out of my control as a rugby player. That I just have to, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I can control how I turn up and how my attitude and the effort that I bring. I think towards the second half of the season, I just understood, okay, that's just what it is. I have to turn up for my boys and make sure that they prepare as well as they can for the weekend.
And I try that we all go through that at some stage. I know that's tough to navigate at times. And like we spoke to a good friend of one of my former teams. You just got to make sure you're ready for that opportunity. When that opportunity presents itself, you got to just pitch up. But talking about being an elite athlete, and I like using elite athlete because it makes us props, so we feel good about ourselves. But there always comes a stage in your career where you tend to drop the ball. You lose focus. I'm putting myself in there. There was a stage I was playing for the Bulls. I was doing really well. Then I started this security company, a CCTV company, installing cameras and stuff, and, put a lot of money and time into that. And I was quite passionate about it as well. Was quite proud of it as well because it was doing fairly well. And then at some stage I realized it was starting to take over. My performance started to take a dip, and we just recently spoke to Anthony Watson that retired, English rugby player, and he shared the story of him doing a photo shoot while he was injured and injuring himself again. And he said these words, the main thing needs to remain the main thing. Is there any examples that you can share with our younger rugby players listening where you might have dropped the ball? We've all done it at some stage. And why it's so important. Your main job remains to be a rugby player. Yes, we want to enjoy it, and we want to enjoy the benefits that go along with it. But is there anything you can share with us?
Hey, I'll go on. Probably very similar to yours, G. I started doing house renovations during while I was in AB. So I was making good money off it. Like, I was flipping houses, renovating them, but it's true. It took my focus away from rugby. And I didn't even know I got into the AB's camp, and Mike Cron and Oka sat me down one time too, and they're like, "Hey, how you been?" I'm like, "Oh, I've been good." And he goes, "How's the property portfolio going?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's good." And I was like surprised. I was like, "Oh, these guys know about this property stuff." And then they just sat down and he goes, "Hey, like, if you want to be a good All Black, a great All Black, then the same thing. Like your focus needs to be on rugby. You can do that other stuff later on in your life, but if you want to be in this team, and because I think from their perspective, like I thought I was still playing good, but they could just see that like a little change in me, and they must have found out, I don't know, from whoever, that I was slowly enjoying this other part of my journey, and they just kind of, which was just gave me perspective. They just said, hey, if you wanna, this team is going somewhere, we need like everyone committed 100%. And mate, I dropped it straight away.
Okay.
Yeah, I just took I made rugby my main thing again, and yeah, so that was a little pit stop on the side, and then came back on again.
Sorry, Ben, I just want to geek out one more last moment here. You just mentioned his name, Mike Cron, the godfather of scrummaging, the OG of scrummaging. How was it working with him? And obviously, if crossed paths through the years, he's respected worldwide for what he's done and what he's still doing. And, he's basically become the reference for a lot of Scrum coaches and people that are passionate about the Scrum. What can you share with us? How was it working with him? What were the things that you learned from him?
I think one of the main things, especially like coming through, is just that he has a way of making you understand how your body works, like how if you do this, like there's when they say put your tongue to the roof, it makes you be able to withstand more pressure than just not without putting your tongue to the roof. And I think because off season for him, he's going to all these other sports, learning different things. Like he goes to ballet, goes to their training to see how we can lift people more efficient. And obviously, the guys there are lifting or lifting and throwing girls or guys. I don't know. But he goes all over the world. He went to like Japan, spent time with sumo wrestlers, just to see what it is that they do. And it was like, he just makes you understand off the back of some of these other sports why they're so good. And it's like with the sumos, like when they move their feet, it's like it's only like this far off the ground, and it's real quick because that's where your power is coming from the ground. If you take big steps on scrums, that means you're only really scrumming off 1 foot. But it just gives you, okay, hey, that makes sense. But it's backed up from other sports. And it's just like, he just makes you understand your body. After that, I think all coaches are very similar in regards to scrummaging, but Mike Cron just has a way of making you understand that without hitting the bloody scrum machine. Just you go, okay, yep, I understand that, and then you're like, now you want to hit a bloody brick wall for the man, just because of how much he's helped you and all that kind of stuff.
So was Charlie? Was that hard if you'd done more played league more? Was it hard for you to pick up scrumming? Was that a tough path for you to walk?
Yeah, it was tough. Like when I come across to play proppers, there's a lot of lessons learned, and that's how I was saying, like, you have to learn those lessons. You can't just become one of the best tie head. I'm not saying I was the best tie, but just one of the better tie heads in the world without learning those lessons. And you have to get taught. There's no other way to learn than being put under pressure like some of those scrums do.
Gee, what were you going to say? You still want to geek out, don't you, talk scrums?
No, good. No. It's been great. You shared loads of, I think, so would still love to get some more of the inner secrets, but clearly Charlie's not going to be sharing everything the AVs are doing now. I'm joking. It's been really great. As I've read, the book of Kerry Evans, Perform Under Pressure. I think you worked with you guys as well, so definitely have some great insight. But I think, Ben, this has been an amazing pod. There's so much. We've covered a lot. But I think before I leave it over to you to close off this episode, life after rugby. All right, everybody experiences it differently. Can you share how is it being? I know you mentioned earlier, investing into property has helped you to take it easy. What's the future looking like? Put it this way, rephrase. Who would you like to become now that you're done playing rugby? Have you figured that out yet? Is the plan in place? You've mentioned the property game, maybe that's something you like to. What is life after rugby looking like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a transition. I wouldn't say it's been the easiest transition, but it's just obviously coming back to New Zealand. You just got to connect and build your network up again, realign with some of the old rugby players, and just build everything back up to where it was before. But no, we're definitely enjoying it. I don't miss playing professionally. When I watch the boys now, I'm like, yeah, I was grateful for my journey, but I definitely don't miss it. Just for one thing, you only miss the camaraderie with the boys like that, being able to catch up every day and just give everyone a hard time and then all go home. But in regards to the trainings or the meetings, I'm happily leave that behind. So, but yeah, definitely enjoying this journey. We're continuing in that property industry, but we're just looking at purchasing a couple of businesses at the moment, and then we just go from there.
Oh, awesome.
Charlie, I saw that you visited Moana Pacifica the other day. That must have been pretty emotional for you, and just, on that transition thing. And I was going to ask actually if it was sort of tempting to put the boots back on when you were visiting, because it looked like you enjoyed it. But you've sort of answered that. But could you see yourself being in a mentoring role?
Yeah, and that's probably what I was kind of down there for, just kind of trying to help the tight heads.
Nice.
Just a little bit of advice, bro. Just a sounding board for them to just chuck out some problems or things that they struggle with. I just give them my experiences, really.
It looks like an amazing environment.
Nah, man, it's an awesome. It's work in progress. They've had some close games, man. It's been awesome to see to watch them play, and they have an awesome brand of rugby. Just little lapses here and there defensively, just lets them down a little bit. But hey, man, a few more games to go. So
yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see. So, Charlie, we've sort of run out of time now, but we'd love to get you on another time, and I'd love to find out more about your transition. You've done it so sort of, you've got so much to share, and we really appreciate your time, And but the final question we always ask is, what rugby lesson have you taken from the game that you use in life nowadays?
Oh, it's probably just teamwork, bro. Like, if anything, it's probably just doing my own job. That's it. Like in a teamwork, my teamwork now is just me and my wife, and I've got my jobs that I have to do to keep the wife happy. So as long as I do my jobs, then she's happy. But I think I was working a little bit, just getting some work experience. But man, it's everyone has a job to do. You got to do it the best you can, and it's how the team continues to grow.
That's awesome. Thanks, Charlie.
Charlie, my man, thanks for joining us on our podcast. We really enjoyed speaking to you. It's good to see you. You're looking still young, man. I think you can still go, man. You can put that boot back on, show the guys the tricks of the trade. But thanks for taking this time. Best of luck for all your future projects as well. And to everybody listening or watching our episode today, please like and subscribe, follow, and also please reach out to Charlie as well. If you're in NZ, help the man grow his network, his empire, dynasty. It would be brilliant. But guys, thanks. Unbelievable pod. And thanks for joining us today.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
All the best.
Cheers, awesome. Charlie.
All right.